But it was only when I came to Brixton, the office at that time of International Alert, that I realized the daunting task ahead of me. There were 2 staff members when I arrived. The prospect of IA being closed down due to lack of financial resources was serious. Certainly an uncertain future. The splendor of Flint Street was a distant dream for those of us who made do with a back room in Bristol. We had rented a small part of the premises of minority rights. The first thing that happened to me in London was to get an excruciating backache, which stuck with me for almost a year. It must have been the stress of having to sit on a rickety old chair. But I inherited an excellent track record which Martin had given. So began my 6 years as Secretary General. Grand title indeed. Considering that we had no money, crumbling offices and a skeleton staff. But we were at a crossroads. We had to choose. We had to either become a think tank reflecting on conflicts and writing about conflicts, or we had to take the choice of action. We had to choose between a program of action which would operationalize prevention. The challenge was to create an early warning system, conflict prevention, and sustaining citizen-based diplomacy. And it was not difficult to take that choice. Let me now offer you some vignettes, if you like, of our experiences. Sri Lanka is, of course, has been our enduring area of concern. Small country in the Indian Ocean, but has been deeply involved in a protracted civil war which continues to rage in that country. It has tormented its people, it has destroyed the promise of economic prosperity. And I had inherited a fantastic portfolio from Martin. Martin single-handedly and with others decided to challenge the Sri Lankan government. And the challenge was that it had and it could not act with impunity against its own minority. That the respect of a minority had something to do with the dignity of the majority. And that they could not behave with impunity. And that the right to self-determination of a peoples had to be respected. It was difficult. But I remember with friends how Martin and others took the Sri Lankan government to court at the Human Rights Commission. It was an electric meeting. President Jayawardena had sent 16 lawyers to defend his case. But a handful of human rights workers was able to challenge and to insist that the conflict was not just a Sri Lankan affair. That the rights of minorities mattered to the international community. That the ICRC had a legitimate right to be in that situation of conflict, because the ICRC was not allowed to. And that the government was accountable to a civilized normative framework which we had given, all of us. The government lost. They compromised. There were many discussions and agreed to invite the ICRC to Sri Lanka. And they are now present in that conference. They agreed at that time to create commissions being worthy and to adopt standards which matter. Martin, however, got the gift for his efforts. And he next went to Sri Lanka. He was declared person of non grata and asked to leave. But what he was able to show was that there is no such thing called impunity. And when I took over, I had a delicate problem in Sri Lanka because I was controversial in Sri Lanka. And there were many instances where we tried to grapple with this conflict and the sheer intensity of that conflict and the madness of that conflict. And many programs were evolved here in this room, like taking Sri Lankans to Northern Ireland, to South Africa, to learn from other experiences, that we were not frogs in a well, that we had a common humanity, and that we can learn from each other. But it takes time for a conflict to mature and develop. And sometimes donors got very impatient with me. They wanted quick results. And I remember, I want to tell you this story about one donor who I had converted to preventive diplomacy. And he was convinced. He was Japanese. And he was so enthusiastic that he basically gave International Relations the largest grant ever on Sri Lanka. And he said, okay, here's the money, do it.